Spring soil waking up, roots stretching, and gardeners wondering why last year's bed still feels like a brick. That's what we're talking about today. Welcome to rootinsect.com.
And honestly, a lot of spring garden problems start below the surface. People see weak growth and blame fertilizer or weather, when sometimes the real issue is compacted soil.
Yeah, the top can look fine, but underneath it's basically a traffic jam for roots. Water sits on top, nutrients don't move well, and plants never really get going.
That's where aeration helps. You're creating space in the soil so air, water, and nutrients can move down where roots need them. Research has shown that aeration can improve how quickly water gets into the soil, and that matters a lot in spring when you're trying to get beds and lawns off to a strong start.
Especially if you've got clay. Clay can be wonderful soil, but when it compacts, wow, it really commits to the bit.
It does. Clay says, no entry. If you've got heavy clay, aeration is one of the simplest ways to help roots spread instead of circling around in a dense layer. And once roots can move, plants handle dry spells better too.
I think some folks hear soil aerator and picture a giant lawn machine, but there are smaller options that make sense for normal gardens.
Definitely. For a small yard, raised beds, or a vegetable patch, a manual aerator is often enough. There are spike aerators, which punch holes, and core aerators, which actually remove little plugs of soil. If your soil is only lightly compacted, spikes can help. But for tougher soil, core aerators usually do more because they're removing material instead of just pressing around it.
See, here's where I'll mildly argue with you. I still think spike tools have a place because they're simple, cheap, and people actually use them.
Fair. The best tool is the one you'll actually take outside. But if somebody asks me which gives the bigger payoff in compacted ground, I'm still saying core aerator.
I knew you would. And the manual core tools out now are pretty approachable. One of the ones we looked at has 3 hollow tines, so you're pulling small plugs with each step. That's a solid setup for home gardeners.
I also like the comfort features on some of these tools. A padded T-handle and a wide footplate may sound boring, but after 15 minutes, your hands and arches suddenly become very interested in design quality.
That's true. I used a bargain aerator once with a tiny foot bar, and by the end, I felt like I'd been doing medieval gardening.
You probably were. Timing matters too. Early spring is ideal when the soil is moist but not soggy. If it's waterlogged, you can make compaction worse. If it's bone dry, you'll work twice as hard and get half the result.
So, not mud, not concrete. Somewhere in the middle.
Exactly. And clear debris first. Sticks, old mulch clumps, leftover stems, whatever's in the way. Then aerate. And after that is a smart time to add compost or other amendments because they can settle into those openings.
That part gets overlooked. Aeration isn't just about lawns looking nicer. It also ties into soil building. If you're making compost, air is a big part of that process too.
Right. Aerated compost breaks down faster, and the finished compost improves soil structure, water retention, and microbial activity. So if you combine composting with spring aeration, you're helping the soil physically and biologically.
Which is a very elegant way of saying your garden gets less grumpy.
Exactly. Less grumpy, more productive. And if you've got a big lawn, that might be when a larger mechanized aerator makes sense. But for most home growers, a manual core aerator is a practical place to start.
So the takeaway is, if your plants struggled last year, don't just throw more fertilizer at them. Check whether the soil is compacted, aerate in early spring, and match the tool to the size of your space and the severity of the problem.
And if you remove little soil plugs, don't panic. That's the point. It may look messy for a minute, but it's a sign the tool is actually opening things up for roots, water, and nutrients.
Your soil needs to breathe, your roots need room, and your spring garden will thank you for the effort.
Thank you for listening to this edition of rootinsect.com, Conversations with Grant and Fiona.